Don't get upset because we're back like we never left. I, as always, your humble host from Filthy Philadelphia, Zach, am joined by the one, the only, often duplicated, never replicated John Boy down there in sunny Florida. John Boy, have you recovered from our meeting in Atlantic City yet? Have the
Uh,
butterflies left?
Not quite yet. I'm still trying to get back to my normal self, but we had a hell of a time.
We
Hell
had
of
a
a
hell of it.
time.
Listen, I'm on two a day right now with the CBDs just to try to get back to regular.
Oh, of course. You need as much recovery as you possibly can after that.
Because I mean, you can't replicate that high. Couple of 10-8 fans came out, got a little bit rowdy. Not crazy, no police involvement, but we got a little loud there at the MGM Sportsbook.
Hmm.
Which and you'll be a bit more of an expert than I am in this area. Is that one of the nicer sports books you've ever been to?
In Atlantic City,
Sure, fair enough. In Atlantic City, I should have specified.
right? I mean, it was decent. I had a great time. It was a great setup. The Borgata held it down. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, and that spot, you couldn't, in my opinion, that's heaven right there, Zach.
couldn't ask for anything more.
No.
Couldn't ask for anything more. Front row seat. We got hooked up, some food, some drink,
We got some
hanging
beer
out.
towers, we got some nachos, and we got some fights and some
That's
friends,
it.
baby.
What else can you ask for in this life? Because that's good enough for me.
That's all
That's
it's
good.
about.
Good enough for me. Well, we took a week off last week. Now we're back.
Yep.
there there are some fights this weekend. Allegedly, there are some alleged fights happening this weekend.
Yeah.
Couple hitters on the card. Not a crazy card, but we'll, as always, as professionals, we're gonna bring the people what they want. And but before we do, 2 weeks worth of takeaways. You want to do a little top three, mine and yours?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a minute to catch the people up. We're gonna go over 277 a little bit, three takeaways, and then we'll get into last week's card a little bit, and then the picks as usual.
As usual, baby. All right, well, let's get it started here. What's your first takeaway?
Um, Magomed Ankalaev will be the future light heavyweight champion.
Now, see, that's interesting.
Yeah.
See, that's interesting. I'll tell you what. Let's. I'm gonna combine your pick with one of my picks, and then we
Hmm.
can maybe have ourselves a gentlemanly discussion about it.
Yeah.
One of my takeaways is that Jamal Hill is a dangerous, dangerous man.
Yeah. We you know what we'll do? We'll collaborate both weeks. We'll intertwine them together.
Might as
Um,
well.
it's only fair because I made that assessment after UFC 277, and Jamal Hill's performance last week
Ooh,
was, dude, super, super, super impressive to go after a guy like Santos, who's known to be a counterpuncher, to push the pace, take some of his best shots, go into the later rounds. I mean, he ticked so many boxes. Um, very, very impressive. Very, very impressive, Zach. But there's one little thing that made me nervous.
and I think I know what it is.
It's the wrestling.
It's that wrestling. It is.
Tiago's not a grappler, and the exchanges that he was in, it made me a little bit nervous.
Well, so let me ask you this: does your opinion evolve at all, given that we didn't see a lot of wrestling from Ankalaev at 277?
Um, Not really, because I feel like Magomed Ankalaev knows what he's best at. And he just knew he was so much better than Anthony Smith on the feet that he didn't really have to take it there. I know that's not the case with Jamal Hill. Uh, Jamal Hill might be the best striker in the light heavyweight division, and that's a crazy, crazy statement with how good Yuri is, how good Dominic Reyes. There's some really, really nasty guys on the feet. But I think Magomed's best path to victory is taking us to the ground.
Yeah, I think his best path to victory is definitely taking it to the ground. I'll say this, and I'm sure our loyal fans know at this point, Magomed Ankalaev did defeat Anthony Smith. We come to find out after the fact that Anthony Smith had an absolutely bizarre ankle break, that probably put that fight to bed a little bit earlier than maybe it would have been. Give this to our boy the Lionheart. He didn't look bad in the first round. He didn't look bad. He wasn't getting pieced up on the feet. He was throwing his shots in there. He was closing the distance. He was getting his angles in. Not to say that I think he was on path to defeating Magomed Ankalaev, but I didn't feel like, oh wow, Anthony Smith, he got exposed, he got laid out. I mean, he lost a fight, broke his ankle. It is what it is. But I didn't see Ankalaev go out there and wrestle Anthony Smith, which I thought he was going to do early and often. And I didn't see that. But Jamal Hill, he had a couple of rounds to showcase his stuff in the Sweet Dream Stadium against Thiago Santos. I got to tell you, that man's hands, they are certified, registered deadly weapons.
Yeah. And the thing for me is we kind of knew that already about Jamal Hill. The thing that we didn't know is if the cardio was there. We didn't know if he could really take a lot of shots. I haven't really seen him take a lot. I mean, he usually gets guys out of there very quickly. Dude, he answered all of it. Definitely his win was more impressive than Magomed's.
Yeah.
But I think that first round's a little bit of a feeling out round for Ankalaev. I just think there's more of a path to victory for him. But I don't know. It'll be interesting. Both guys could hold gold potentially.
I mean, look, the UFC hasn't responded to my calls yet. I'm sure they're going to. They're going to get back to me soon. But at this point, I would be tempted to vacate that strap and let Jamal Hill and Magomed Ankalaev fight for it. I really would, because having watched Yuri Prohaska against Glover Teixeira, I do not see Yuri defeating Jamal Hill on the feet. I don't. I think that Dragon Ball Z style stance he has is going to leave that door wide open for Jamal Hill to just crack him. And obviously, I don't think Yuri has an answer on the ground for Magomed Ankalaev. I mean, I know he kind of pulled out a last minute desperation submission of Glover Teixeira, and you can't take anything away from him. He submitted one of the best grapplers probably ever at 205, but a 40-year-old Glover Teixeira is not a young Magomed Ankalaev. That's not the same person.
No.
And I don't think Jan Blachowicz is going to defeat Jamal Hill. I don't think he's going to defeat Magomed Ankalaev. Nope. I don't think what's his name, Alexander Rakic, when he gets healthy, I don't see him defeating either of those two men. I think the worst thing that can happen right now from a fan perspective is that Magomed and Jamal Hill end up fighting each other for a number one contender spot, and then we don't get that 5-rounder, then we don't get that full 5, which I think would be a disservice to the fans.
Yeah, that could headline a fight night, but I see what you're saying.
It could and it should headline a fight night, right? I mean, Thiago Santos, Jamal Hill headlined a fight night, but I want those two boys. I want them on the pay-per-view stage. I want the big stage for this one because I think this fight is just going to be absolute fireworks, no matter where it goes. I mean, Ankalaev is no slouch on the feet. We really, probably one of the few questions we don't really have answered is can Jamal Hill now kind of adapt? Because the one place you're right that he didn't look great was on the ground. But look at all the adaptations he has done since entering the UFC. Can this guy get back to the drawing board, and can he learn enough takedown defense? Can he learn to sort of slip those takedowns to keep it on the feet? It's an interesting question, but I think it's one that's got to get answered on a event that has numbers after it.
Agreed 100%. And just for that reason that we haven't seen it, that's the only reason that there's a flyer on it.
Yeah.
Thiago's not a grappler.
No, he's not.
No, in no way, shape, or form is he a grappler. To see him shoot takedowns, though, that was a sight.
Yeah,
that just goes to show how good Jamal Hill is on the feet, though.
And I mean, very impressive. Not to put too fine a point on it, but into the third round, I mean, Jamal Hill wasn't just standing his ground; he was actually chasing Santos down to get back in the pocket with him. And with somebody who's as dangerous a counter striker as Santos is, to see somebody chasing them across the octagon was mind-blowing.
Hill ate some shots too.
Clean shots.
Clean, big shots. He just ate them.
Yeah.
So very, very impressive outing for Hill.
Feel like the 205 is back,
I was just going to say light heavyweight is in good hands.
Finally, it's back. I love the light heavyweight division. You get all the power of the heavyweights. You get some of that athleticism of the lighter weights. You don't have guys gassing out in the second round. I mean, light heavyweight, I think, for a long time in the UFC, and rightfully so, was the premier division to see the most dangerous men on the planet. And I think we're finally getting back to that. Thank God.
Couldn't agree more.
Thank God. All right. What's your next takeaway? Hit me.
Brandon Moreno will be the next champ.
Yup. Agreed.
I just love Brandon Moreno. This is more of me leaning on my heart. I just like the guy a lot. I like everything he has to say. I like the way he carries himself. You see on the mic afterward that he kept it cordial with Figgy because he said he wanted his daughter to have a role model. I mean, the guy just, from getting cut to the UFC to be in the position that he is now, super, super impressive. I love the way he fights. I back him a lot, and he comes through. Brandon Moreno might be an unofficial fighter of the 10-8 round pod.
Yeah, I think we can put him on the list with the Leech, right? As another 10-8 backed guy. And yeah, no, just from for the uninitiated at home, Brandon Moreno had a rough start to his career in the UFC. There was a famous clip of him saying he was going to be champion one day. Then he went on a skid, got cut by the UFC, had to go down, I think fought in the LFA, having gotten cut by the UFC, gets the call back to the UFC, comes like a fucking bat out of hell, starching everybody in his path, ends up winning the belt, has 2 fights now with Davison Figueiredo, Figgy D, one where he submits Figueiredo, one where Figueiredo wins a razor thin decision over him. And now
3 fights too.
Have they had 3?
And they drew the first one.
Oh, that's right. The first one was a draw. My apologies. So they've had 3.
Yeah, we're going probably for the 4-peat here. And honestly, it's honestly the fight to make. And I'll watch that shit. I watch that shit 10 times. They're the two best flyweights in the world.
Every week I will watch that. Moreno looked like an absolute monster in the cage. Taking down a very tough Kai Kara France guy who's just a very tough dude, legit guy. And then, personality and personally, you can't not love Brandon Moreno. I mean, he's a beacon of positivity. He's a beacon of true heart. He's an absolute gentleman. And after he wins, the guy goes out and gets himself a new Lego set. That's what he likes to do when he's not the baby assassin in the octagon starching motherfuckers. My man goes to Legoland and hooks it up.
What more can we say, really?
That's I mean, I'm rooting for that. Every morning I wake up, I root for Brandon Moreno without hesitation. I wake up, I root for him to have a great day. What else is there? My second takeaway, Amanda Nunes is the GOAT, but not as GOAT as she thinks she is. Let me run through this one here. So Nunes rematches Juliana Pena.
Okay.
Nunes wins it convincingly. I think she actually took 2 10-8 rounds from Juliana Pena. Opened her shit all the way up.
Yeah.
It gave her an absolute earthquake wound to the forehead.
Yep.
But then Nunes gets on the mic and starts talking about, I could have ended it at any time. This was me playing with my food.
Yeah.
I don't think that's true. I don't think it's true at all. I mean, I think Juliana Pena is an undeniably tough customer. She was, even in the 3rd and 4th round, she was looking for submission. She was grabbing arms, looking for omoplatas. She was trying to grab legs. I mean, she was game every round. And the fact that Nunes, who is notably really not a shit talker, is really not somebody who's going to get out there and cut the promos on the mics like that. The fact that she's saying some stuff like that, it makes me think there is still a crack in that armor. It makes me think maybe she's not as GOAT as she once thought she was. I think she thought she was going to get Pena out of there early, and I don't think she could. So I think Nunes is rightfully back in her GOAT throne. I don't know how secure that throne really is. Now, the follow-up question is, well, then who the hell's going to take her off of it? And I don't have that answer, but somebody might. Somebody might. I think they're going to do Pena Nunes 3, which I actually don't think they should, but
Yeah, I mean, like you said, Nunez was never really an ace on the mic. She's never really been a great marketer, great seller of fights. I don't know if it's the language barrier or what have you. She proves it in the ring, and that's why she's labeled the GOAT. I thought it was a good performance. I thought it was really impressive. Just the cardio held up. She made the adjustments necessary, and that shows that she's a true champion, right? What do they say? You're not a fighter until you've lost and fought again and won, right? So she proved a lot to me there. The cardio was great. Yeah, the delusional shit afterward, I guess I'll give her a little bit of a pass. But in my mind, there's only one fight to make.
Go ahead.
130-pound catch weight, Valentina Nunez,
The bullet.
and we'll decide who the real GOAT is.
Yeah, probably. Probably. I mean, and it was Ben Franklin who said fatigue makes cowards of us all. And obviously Nunez took those words to heart. I remember a very drunk, well, I wouldn't say very, I'll say a slightly buzzed podcast host that I know. He co-hosts a really electric MMA podcast with me, actually.
Wow.
I remember him yelling at the beginning of the third or fourth round that Nunez was gassing out.
It does sound like me.
It sounds like somebody I know.
I was also saying that about Jeff Neal in the second round of this week's past fight. So,
well, we'll get there in a second. Before we do,
obviously, I was wanted the tides to turn, and that was the kind of thing with Nunez where it was like we knew she was the better class of a fighter. It was just the determination and the will of Pena is what ultimately led to her winning the belt. And all it takes is just that one moment where it's like, oop, she can eat my best shot. Here we go. And don't get me wrong, Amanda Nunez took some fucking shots.
Her left eye was
peeled shut.
Jacked.
So I mean, Pena got a couple licks in herself. All it takes is one of those, to land a little bit better. But great performance by Nunez.
Yeah, it was a stellar performance by Nunez. I mean, and a stellar performance by Pena's toughness, give that credit where it's due. I mean, a lot of lesser fighters would have found a reason to get out of there. Would have let Nunez take their back and just get the rear naked choke and be done with the night. Pena was an absolute bloody mess. No quitting that woman. Do you think there is ever a world? So Amanda Nunez holds two belts, right? She holds the 135.
Yep.
She holds the 145.
Yep.
There are exactly zero, I think, other people in the 145-pound division right now.
Yeah, pretty fraudulent division.
Yeah, so she's like holding a belt of zero. However, Nunez is one of the bigger female fighters, right? She's extremely muscular. She's probably walking around a little bit heavier than a few others.
Where's this going?
Do you think there's ever a world where she does a catch weight with Kayla Harrison?
Oh, okay. I thought this was taking a way different turn.
Where in God's name did you think I was going?
I thought you were going to say, is she going to fight a guy?
Oh, no.
That's what happens. That's what happened with Rousey, right?
Oh, the Floyd Mayweather, Ronda Rousey fight that never was.
Once the invincibility goes in, we start saying some crazy shit.
Listen, here's the thing about that. There is no doubt in my mind that Amanda Nunez could defeat some dudes. And I am not a subscriber that women cannot fight men. And I know some women who are training at MMA gyms around the city of Philadelphia right now. And if you're a dude listening to this and you want to get beat up by a girl, I know a guy. However, what I think that would do is I think it would start drawing very odd comparisons. I think it would take away from, I think it would create a spectacle. And I'm not totally there for it. I know there's probably a way that we could make mixed sex MMA work. I don't think the UFC is the one to do it. I think that this would become an absolute nightmare. So no, that is not where I'm going. I'm going Kayla Harrison.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't. The only thing is the incentive for the UFC is not there.
Yeah.
And if there's no incentive to line the UFC's pockets, there's really no incentive for Nunez to fight her either.
No
Then,
incentive for Harrison either, if we're being honest with it.
yeah,
You
I
know,
mean, to legitimize her career somewhat, but yeah,
making $1 million a year with PFL, beating up soup cans. I
yeah, no,
mean,
that comes down to, I guess, like a legacy thing, right? Like, I mean, she would never be regarded as a top woman, right? Like Cyborg is what in my book is like number 2, and it's not even close.
yeah, I think Cyborg's
Or no,
probably
sorry, Shevchenko 2, Cyborg 3.
Joanna 4, maybe 5. It gets convoluted, I know.
Resume wise, probably.
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, look, I'd honestly, before I saw the Nunez fight, I'd love to see Cyborg Kayla Harrison. Um, Cyborg is somebody who has some very tough grappling,
That I could see happen.
and Bellator and PFL may have a little bit more of an incentive to do a crossover bout like that. And speaking of women who are bigger in MMA, I mean, Cyborg, I want to say I heard one, she was cutting down from like 170, 175 to hit 145. So 155 is a walk in the park for her.
Yeah, she's had some brutal weight cuts.
She has. And I mean, Kayla Harrison is an Olympic gold medalist in judo. She is, outside of MMA, her legacy as a combat sports athlete is cemented. So to see her step in with Cyborg,
that's the fight to make. Yeah.
So if she starts a Cyborg, then we're going to have to circle back and start asking those Nunez questions again.
Big if, but yeah,
big if. But Cyborg's getting up there. She's been around a while now.
Yeah, no, the time is now to make that.
Yeah. All right. Well, let me get on the phone with Scott Coker then. I've been calling the UFC. Let me call Bellator right quick.
Honestly, Scott might be willing to take our calls.
He would be. I wouldn't be surprised if Cokes took our calls. Scotty Cokes. He might take our calls.
You never know.
This is about to become a Bellator only podcast. We're going to spend an hour every week talking about Ryan Bader's Instagram presence. We're rebranding this whole shit, guys. This is it. It's a totally new day.
Oh, that's great.
All right. What's your next takeaway? I heard you mention his name. Let me hear it.
Whose name did I mention?
I believe you once referred to him as Geoff Neal.
Dirty Jeff Neal.
Hands of Steel Neal.
Holy shit.
My word.
Goddamn. That was very, very impressive. Vicente Luque, it was regarded as one of the best strikers in the world. I've never seen him really get outclassed like that. Stephen Thompson outclassed him on the feet like that, but Jeff Neal just took it to him. Luque had never been finished up until that point.
Yeah.
I mean, whew, after Jeff got done with the Dewey, man, he's been killing it. He looks good. Jeff Neal, watch out, 170.
Yeah, that's a new man.
That's as legit as a win as you can have.
That is some Stranger Things. Another fighter has embodied Jeff Neal and upped his IQ from good to great, upped his hands from great to phenomenal, and that is a dangerous man right there.
Yeah, Geoff.
Geoff Neal.
Geoffrey,
you stud.
Yeah,
that was, I mean, and what was, I thought, the most impressive about Jeff Neal's win. So he almost had Luque out of there in the first. Luque survives.
Wins the second.
What's that?
Luque wins the second round.
Luque wins the second because Luque went back to the drawing board and switched up the game plan a little bit. Started throwing the right body kick, right head kick over and over. Starts chopping at the legs a little bit. And
you could see, though, Luque was having problems with southpaw. The southpaw guys give him issues. You saw literally the finishing sequence was Neal spamming a left uppercut. I think he threw it 8 times
in a row,
repeatedly.
Yeah, in a row.
I don't know. Luque just didn't. He looked off in there with a southpaw guy. He was getting hit from angles I don't think he was used to. But don't let that take away from Neal, man. That was
to survive losing a second round against Vicente Luque and to then come back out, stick to your game plan, not throw a desperation shot, not kind of back off your game plan, and to re-implement it in the third and to knock out Vicente Luque. That's chef's kiss. Mwah.
Yeah, very impressive.
All right, my third takeaway for the week.
Yep.
Patty the Batty's in trouble.
This is one of my takeaways too.
Well, we only get 3, so you've already had 3.
Oh, we grouped our 3 for the 2. I like that better.
Yeah, which
And
listen,
let me
3
hear
is
what you
3.
want. Let me hear, because I think you're going to get this one off of my chest and yours.
Yeah, Terrence T-Rex McKinney is a
Bingo.
dangerous customer. That man is frighteningly good, and he is here's really, I think, the biggest takeaway is what a fast starter he is. So Terrence McKinney, first round rear naked choke over Eric Gonzalez Saturday night, looked dominant start to finish, and start to finish was 2 minutes and 17 seconds.
Yep.
What I've said before, what I'll say again, Patty's his biggest problem is he is a notoriously slow starter. I haven't seen, of the 3 fights I've seen of him in the UFC, I don't think I've seen a first round that I thought he won yet. Andromini had him in trouble in the first. The second guy he fought, whose name I will never in my life remember, I thought
Rodrigo Vargas.
Rodrigo Vargas looked better in the first. And then even Jordan Levitt looked better in the first than Patty the Batty did. Now, in all of those, he has weathered that storm and gotten a win. Different storm. Terrence McKinney's coming with a shit storm from your worst fucking nightmare in the first.
This is a Cat 5 coming in.
This is batting down the hatches. This is FEMA has shown up in advance of this storm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I think Patty better stop going on the Bobbsy Twins World Tour with Meatball Molly over there, and I think he better get his ass squarely in Justin Flores' gym, and he better stay there.
UFC doesn't book that fight though.
I can't imagine they do right now. I can't. If they want to keep making money off of Patty the Batty, they cannot book that fight right now.
That's the fight to make, though.
It is.
Like, it's
the fight to make. It will answer the questions about Patty the Batty's legitimacy.
McKinney does have a very short fuse, though. That gas tank, we saw it in the Drew Dober fight, was a really good example.
Yeah.
If he doesn't get you out of there, he does fade.
He does.
This is a tremendous drop off. But no, you're right. The barrage is there. When he comes for you, you better be defensively sound, or he's going to get you out of there.
The barrage is there, and it is terrifying.
Yeah, he's a big boy too at 155. He looks just bigger in there.
Yeah, he looks big. He looks tall. He's lanky.
Best thing that happened to him too was losing to Drew Dober.
Yeah,
he needed that.
Yeah, no, it looks like, since then he's been on a wicked tear, and just looking lean and mean in there. Man, that's a bad night of work for Patty Pimblett. That's a bad night.
That division's an absolute nightmare for him.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, once you get to the top 5,
top 15, he's in trouble.
Yeah,
McKinney's not even top 20.
Yeah, I mean, really, what do you? That top 5 is murderer's row. That's the Green Mile right there. That is all out war, all action, all the time. You can't be a slow starter in this division right now. You can't.
No.
It's all bad. It's all bad. Yeah, that's a rough night. I got to tell you. What do you think? What do you think the UFC does here? Do you think they book it? They shouldn't, but do you think they do?
I don't. Personally, I don't. I think they're going to ride the cash cow a little bit longer, right? They're talking about throwing them on a pay-per-view now. They're talking, that's when the real money starts to accrue in this situation. I think that they give them a couple more bottom-feeding guys. But I mean, it's the UFC. So it's like, they did it with O'Malley. So, maybe. And then they just throw him into the deep water, I guess. I don't know.
They might be criminally liable for what they're doing to Sean O'Malley, and we can talk about that in our last round. But here's why I think they might do it. And hear me out.
Mm-hmm.
So Paddy Pimblett's first fight, he's coming in with some hype. He wins.
Mhm.
Then he gets the Barstool endorsement. He's a Barstool athlete. So the second fight, you got plenty of hype. He wins. And he's on a card with Molly McCann. They're
Mhm.
in England. You get that feel good shit. Third fight,
Mhm.
Jordan Levitt. Everybody knows Jordan Levitt ain't that guy.
No.
But now we have enough of a storm. We've got enough of a hype train. He's been at a San Diego Padres game. People like Patty.
Yeah.
You get that
I
cash.
like Patty too.
Listen, and I'll sidebar only to say this. I saw recently that calls to the mental health line from men have been up since Patty's post-fight interview.
Yeah, I
That's
thought that was one of the coolest posts.
that's a that's a net that is a net gain. That's awesome. But you're going to run out of that steam. And it's probably going to happen in the next one or two fights where people are going to get tired. I mean, this is what happened with Greg Hardy, right? Greg Hardy comes in a little bit of an alternate way, but he comes in, he's like the most hated man in the world. He's a
Mhm.
domestic abuser.
Good
People are like, I
draw,
can't. People are tuning in to see him lose.
without a doubt.
So what does the UFC do? They feed him soup cans. People are tuning in to see Patty win. So what does the UFC do? Feed him soup cans. Once that shit fucking dried up with Greg Hardy, the UFC fed him to real fighters, and Greg Hardy was out of there in 2 fights.
Yeah.
At this point, if I'm Dana White, if I'm Sean Shelby, if I'm Mick Maynard, what do I want to do? Do I want to prop Patty up for another 2 fights, risk him maybe getting hurt? It's another year and a half. Or do I want to put him on a pay-per-view with Terrence T-Rex McKinney and hype the fuck out of it? I'm talking about a blitz, all-out assault of hyping this fight up. Get one big shot out of it, and then whatever happens, happens. If McKinney wins, he's the guy that took out Patty the Batty, and Patty will get a couple more fights in the UFC. It'll be what it'll be. Or in a crazy universe where Patty survives that onslaught,
Mhm.
comes in, throws a hip toss in the second or third, gets a submission. Now you're crazy like a fox. Now you really got something with Patty Pimblett. Now he's beating a really legit guy. If I'm them, I don't know. UFC, call me up. I'm happy to solve your fucking problems for you.
Zach's heading into the Borg right now, and he's putting all his chips on black.
As I always do. Fucking Sean Shelby, call me up, homeboy. I'll do some of the heavy lifting. I don't mind it. It's all good.
I mean, it's the fight to make. I think true MMA guys, true MMA fans know that would be a banger of a fight. I have no doubt in my mind that would be, huge. That would blow up.
Can you
I just don't
imagine
know if
that
the
fight in
UFC does
Liverpool?
it. It might be too big of a risk. It's too
It's a
big of a risk.
it's a hell of a risk. But at this point, they're going to start seeing diminishing returns on the Patty train, right? He's always going to sell out at the O2. But how often are they going to the O2? You
Exactly.
know, if I'm the UFC, I'm going to find a way to book Wembley. I'm going to book Wembley. I'm going to put Patty on it. I'm going to put Molly on it. I might have it be the night that they announce that Bisping's going into the Hall of Fame. I'm going to find a couple other English boys to put on there. I'm going to find a crackerjack main event that's going to bring them in, and I'm going to go all out broke. This is a one-time heist, boys. Let's do it. That's just me. What do I know? What do I know? I
I'm
don't
here.
work.
I'm here for it.
Look, I just work here. That's all. I just work here. What do I know? Anything else you want to fucking chit chat about? Anything else?
I think we're ready to get into this this little appetizer the UFC's prepared for us.
I mean, I think we maybe call this a little bit of I'd call it foreplay,
That's fair.
but I wouldn't call it good foreplay. This is, if I may. Now, we've been through the UFC's refractory periods.
Yes.
We know what they look like.
Mm-hmm.
Don't touch me for a minute. I'm going to come back. Don't touch me right now. I got to recenter my chi.
Yeah.
I got to refocus. I got to grab a warm towel. I got to catch a smoke on the balcony, hit a little Powerade.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're getting into foreplay territory, so your Uncle Zach's here to educate y'all once again. This is what I would call the OTPHJ, or the old-fashioned of fight cards. Now, for the uninitiated at home, OTPHJ stands for an over the pants hand job.
Yep.
All right, we're familiar. That's what I would call this, in the sense that, if you're a young man or woman whose fancy has turned to love,
Mm.
better than doing it yourself. But but
Wow.
nobody's clothes are coming off. You
Wow.
know, your pants are on. It's probably happening somewhere that's, it's like a movie theater, or,
A
the front
tease.
front seat of your brother's car. It's a
Yeah.
tease. That's what it is. And it's not a great tease, but hey, maybe you haven't gotten action in a while. You're going to take it. That's what we're looking at here.
Get the
Uh,
heart rate up a bit.
get the heart rate up a little bit. And you know what? I'm going to take it. I'm going to take it.
Yeah.
Sure. It is what it is. I'd love it if on our second date, maybe somebody's clothes came off, but I'll take this for right now because beggars can't be choosers.
It sounds like UFC 278
Well,
might
you,
be that lucky second date.
yeah, UFC 278 is when you ditch the OTPHJ and you find somebody who really knows what they're doing. But I digress. Let's get into this one.
Yeah.
Again, we got the homie Cheeto Vera on the card.
Yep.
Love to see that going up against an aging but legendary Dominic Cruz.
Mm-hmm.
How you feeling about this one?
I don't love it. I've never loved a Dominic Cruz fight. Um, I get that he's a legend and all that, but I have an interesting little fun fact for you.
Tell me,
Okay, so when do you think Dominic Cruz debuted in the UFC?
when do I think Dominic Cruz debuted at the UFC? I'm gonna
Yep.
say, and I'm not looking,
Hmm.
eyes are covered. I'm gonna say 2008.
2011.
Okay, I was actually early.
And when do you think Cheeto Vera debuted in the UFC? This is going to come full circle.
Okay, 2017.
2014.
All right, okay.
How many fights do you think Dominic Cruz has in the UFC?
It's not a lot.
So what? We'll say 2011. So going on his 11th year in the UFC.
Yeah, but those years where he was injured.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna lowball my guess. I'm gonna say 5.
9.
He has 9. Well, that's actually more than I thought. Okay,
Guess how many fights Cheeto Vera has since 2014?
is it 9?
19.
Yeah, all right. That sounds like it makes more sense.
And basically that sums up the entire fight. It's 5 rounds and it's durability. Cheeto Vera's got the durability. He's shown it in his career. He's active. He gets in there. Cruz is fragile. He takes a lot of times off and he gets hurt. That's just how it goes. It being 5 rounds is tremendously in Cheeto's favor, in my opinion. I think Cruz will dodge to the outside for a little bit, but when push comes to shove, the stronger, more durable, more motivated fighter gets the job done here.
So, John Boy, do you mind if I ask you a personal question?
Please do.
You're a bit younger than I am,
Mm-hmm.
about 5 years younger,
Yep.
and I think maybe you're not quite the maybe you came to the UFC just a touch later than I did. How old were you when you started watching MMA like on a regular basis? What year was it? Give me the year.
It'd be tough. I mean, you're going to try and take me back to the WEC days, aren't you?
Were you an
That was-
MMA fan for the WEC days?
Yes, I saw the Uriah Faber Cruz fights. I did witness those. Yes.
All right. All right. I mean, we're talking about back in the WEC days. I'm talking 08, 09. I mean, Dominic Cruz was
I was there. I was there.
that was a dangerous customer. And in his career, and I looked at this earlier because I thought it was more than that. Dominic Cruz has only lost 3 times
Mm-hmm.
to three
Asterisk, but yeah.
3 legit customers. I mean,
Mhm.
well, Cody Garbrandt has become less of a legit customer as time has gone on, but when he fought Cody Garbrandt, that was a tough dude, right?
Yep.
Cejudo and then Uriah Faber, and he lost to WEC Uriah Faber, who may have actually walked on water at one point.
And I thought Dillashaw beat him, but that's
there's reasonable minds could have that discussion,
yeah.
but yeah, I mean, he goes 4 3-4 years at a time without fighting. But when he does fights well. Fights well. I mean,
No,
you
he
got a
has that
unique.
tricky style, man.
He does. He's got that awkward outside style. I don't know. I mean, am I correct then in saying that Cheeto Vera is the favorite?
You would be correct. 2-1,
2-1 favorite.
-2 hundo.
2-1 favorite.
Got to lay a 2 stack to get one back. I'm here for it though. I'm gonna ride the Cheeto train. I've been scoping out the IG. He looks good. He looks in the best physical condition I've seen him. I think he knows it's now or never. This is a title, you know what I mean? Cruz has been there, done that type thing. This is Cheeto's probably last opportunity. I mean, we already talked about he has 19 fights in the UFC. You're on the verge of like a Charles Oliveira type guy who had a lot of losses and has kind of revitalized his career.
Yeah.
I think Font is a tougher matchup than Cruz.
Head on, absolutely. Yeah, because I mean,
So
Rob Font's a Terminator who's going to walk at you, throw in the kitchen sink. Dominic Cruz is not.
Casey Kenny's a good fighter. That was a close fight too.
Yeah.
That was a very close fight between him and Cruz. He gave a good account of himself. I don't know. With all of the MMA math that's being done, I just want to say that it's Vera's time right now. And sometimes when it's your time, it's your time to shine. And I fully believe it's Cheeto's time.
The MMA math that I kind of come back to, though. So Cheeto's lost 7 fights in his career.
Mm-hmm.
How many were by decision?
All of them?
All of them.
Yeah.
Every last one.
Yep.
Dominic Cruz has won
Yeah.
a wide margin of his fights by decision.
Good point.
And that's because of that slick outside style that Dominic Cruz brings. Now, that being said, some of the math that I think's got to come into play is what you pointed out astutely earlier. Years off at a time. Dominic Cruz is old now, man. MMA wise, he's 37.
Cheeto's 29.
Wow.
Cheeto is only 29. I don't know what's more surprising, how young Cheeto is or how old Cruz is.
Yeah, that actually is super surprising to me.
Cheeto's 2 years older than me. Holy fuck.
Yeah. Cheeto is still 3 years younger than me, but that's neither here nor there. Neither here nor there. We don't have to get into it. Yeah, I don't know. This is an interesting one, man. This is an interesting one for me. I mean, you've got a lot against Cruz, but you've got a lot for him too. We'll see.
Vera's going to drop him with some stuff. I think Vera hits way too hard, and that's going to show over 5 rounds. If it was a 3-round fight, I'd have the same thought process of like, oh shit, could Cruz outclass and outpoint him, dance away for 3 rounds? Maybe. Doubt it. Over the course of 25 minutes, even more doubtful. That's just kind of the read. I really like Cheeto here.
Oh, listen, we've said on this podcast before, we'll say it again, that we are Cheeto Vera fans. I have no reason to disagree with your analysis, but I think reasonable minds maybe can differ. So it'll be interesting to see this one.
Yep.
It'll be interesting to say. Well,
co-main,
your guy, David Onama, stepping in against Nate Landwehr.
Yeah.
How do you feel about this one?
It's a fun fight. I think it's going to be fight of the night. Both of these guys bring it every time. High output, and they throw shots. Both guys don't wait to counter. They're both going to push the pace. We did a little bit of MMA math before we got on here. We talked about, Nate Landwehr has a win over Ludovic Klein. Ludovic Klein just got a win over Mason Jones, and Mason Jones was David Onama's UFC debut, and where David Onama lost. So there's an argument to be made to get behind Nate Landwehr here at plus 205, but I'm going to stick with David Onama. I think he's maturing in his game. I like him as the overall prospect better. I think his ceiling is a little bit higher than Nate Landwehr's. The price tag's a little bit bigger than I would want to get involved. Do you have an idea of where this one's sitting?
I don't ever pick the lines. I pick the favorites, and that's it.
And who do you think's the favorite here?
I think Onama's the favorite.
He is, but he's minus 250.
Heavy favorite.
Like I could get behind like minus 180, minus 150. I think there's value there. 255. I don't know about that one. Nate Landwehr, you got to shut his lights off to put him away. David Onama could definitely do that, but I don't know. It's a bit steep for me.
Yeah, that's a steep price tag, but I don't disagree with your assessment. I think David Onama has shown that his game is still growing. So I think he'll get the dub over Nate Landwehr there. I think he's rightfully touted as the favorite.
Agreed.
Yeah. What fight you want to talk about next? Because there's not many more to talk about. What do you like? You want to talk about Nina Nunes taking on Cynthia Calvillo?
Not really. To be quite honest with you, that's another rough one. I'd lean with Nunez here, but absolutely no confidence whatsoever. I'm going to stay away from it.
Yeah, no, Nina Nunes, formerly Nina Ansaroff, I've never really liked as a fighter, so I would lean towards Calvillo, but
she's clean on the feet. You know, she's a background in kickboxing. She's pretty decent on the feet actually, but it's just, you know, Calvillo does have that wrestling in her back pocket, but she just hasn't used it.
yeah,
It's like, you know, her career has been a huge question mark. The UFC had a ton of expectations. I don't know if you remember Dana White sitting on a platform with Cynthia Calvillo comparing her to Ronda Rousey earlier in her career. So, you know, she had a lot of expectations that she hasn't met. Who knows? Maybe she revitalizes her career and gets in the win column here, but I'm not backing her.
yeah, I don't know. Whatever.
Agreed.
OTPHJ, baby. If it's on, I'm gonna watch it.
I mean, GM3, Gerald Mearshart,
Taking on Bruno Silva.
Bruno Silva just had a fucking war with Israel Adesanya's next dance partner, Michael Pereira.
Yeah.
Interesting decision to play that out on the feet for 3 rounds.
Yeah.
He actually held his own though. Silva looked pretty decent on the feet. He's going to be too much for GM3 here.
Yeah, I think so too. And I
love Gerald Mearshart. I want to
Yeah.
back him as a dog, but I can't get there.
No, I can't either. Our girl Angela Hill, Angie Overkill Hill.
Yeah, late. You're right. This is a catch weight, 120. Lupita
Yeah.
Godinez, good fighter, solid fighter. This is a late replacement though, right? Yeah, because this is why it's at the catch weight.
Yeah.
Last time Lupita Godinez went on a catch weight fight, she got dogged.
Yeah.
Angela Hill's the type of girl, if she's an underdog, I'm probably just going to bet her.
Yeah.
So I don't know what this one's lined at. I didn't see it because I think it was so newly, you know, came into play. But if Angela Hill's a decent dog, I'll probably take a shot.
Why not?
Why not? If I don't bet it, I'll regret myself.
That's it.
I'll regret it.
That's it. We got Odie Osborne on the card.
This is another decent one. This is a decent fight. Tyson Nam, right?
Yeah.
Kind of a counter puncher, low output. Odie Osborne, decent skill, but big price tag on Odie Osborne.
Is there really?
Yeah, minus 250.
Wow.
Tyson Nam isn't anything special, but plus 200. I don't know. I might be calling my name. Dogs could be barking.
Dogs could be barking. That's fair. And I just thought of another reason this is like an OTPH day, you know, which is that there's just so much potential for it to go wrong.
Oof.
You know, there's so much potential for that friction to build on you.
Oh, that's rough.
You know, this is I'm looking at this card. This could just end up being 1 to 13 of like decisions, and this could just be an absolutely horrible card.
Hey, we probably thought that last week too, in 10 finishes, right?
Well, yeah, and worth mentioning that last week it was 10 for 10. You know, every fight was a finish.
Yeah.
And I think that's only happened. I think I saw maybe 3 or 4 times in UFC history that every fight on the card was a finish. And also worth pointing out what we've said several times earlier, which is that the fight nights have been carrying the promotion lately.
And another observation too, the fight nights have been in the Apex. So they're in that tiny octagon.
This one isn't.
This one's not in Apex. This one's in San Diego.
San Diego.
This is a little bit different, right?
A little bit different.
There is a stat out there that the percentage raises. I think it's like 12 to 17% of a finish rate happening inside the smaller ring. So that that definitely has some play in why these guys are getting finished in the Apex so much, I
Oh,
think.
it definitely does. So what do you think here? Do you think the myth of the fight night continues and we're in for a crackerjack, or do you think now that we're leaving the Apex, we return to old form?
Yeah, I think if you expect what you expected last week, you're going to be a little disappointed.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I think more of these will play out, but honestly, there's some bangers on here, so
There's some potential bangers.
there's
There's
potential.
there's potential. I could see every one of these fights being a decision. I could see several of these fights being an exciting finish. I
Yeah,
could see it going either way.
agreed.
Yeah, I could see it going either way. Either way, tune in. There's fights on. It is what it is. They're not all going to be fucking finishers. Sometimes you just sit down and you watch the fights. Sometimes your favorite team's just utilizing the run game. Here we are. It is what it is. How many analogies can I come up with for this card, do you think? If we're on a long enough timeline, do you think I'd ever run out of analogies, or you think I could just do this forever?
You could do it.
Yeah, I
I
could.
believe in you.
I shouldn't, though. I
Eh,
shouldn't. I shouldn't.
I'm here for it.
Listen, and that's why you're the best goddamn co-host in the game. You're fucking here for it. Well, we got some 2 weeks off. We got some interesting news. Got some interesting news in the MMA world. You see the homie El Kukui
Yeah, Jackson Wink.
going to Jackson Wink. That's new.
Wow,
It's exciting.
that's encouraging. Tony getting out of his own head, getting some new advice. Maybe I think that's a good thing.
I think it's a great thing. I mean, how long has Tony just been doing his own fight camps now?
Hear me out.
Go ahead.
Hear me out.
Mm.
Tony Ferguson, Patty Pimblett.
Oh,
You want to fill Wembley?
you'd fill Wembley. I don't know. I feel like
Is that a Sean O'Malley yawn thing? We rushing him in?
I mean,
Tony
it might
shot.
be it might be a step beyond that. And I don't, again, aging myself here. I don't know if you remember a little film known as Mortal Kombat. But at the beginning of one of my all-time favorite movies, I think it belongs in the Criterion collection. And you will not back me off of that position ever. I watched that movie 3 times a year since 1995 when it came out. Which was that the year you were born?
Yep.
Fuck off. Fuck off. Because
Yeah,
I remember that movie coming out. I was conscious of that movie coming out.
that's wild.
Whatever. Shut up. Whatever. It is what it is. I'm
Mhm.
not old. I'm not old. I'm getting better. Whatever. There's a scene
Mhm.
at the beginning of that movie where Shang Tsung, the bad guy, actually takes the soul of Liu Kang's younger brother.
Okay.
I don't know. I feel like El Kukui might actually take Patty Pimblett's soul, just do some weird mysticism.
Dude, I love that fight.
Yeah, I don't know.
I understand Tony hasn't really fell off that much. Like he's obviously losing the top guys, right?
Right.
Top 5 guys.
Yeah.
Really. Yeah, I mean it's probably too much, but it's gonna probably happen eventually. I mean, if Patty keeps winning,
He's gonna have to fight someone legit.
he's gonna have to fight somebody. And I feel like what they're doing with Nate and Hamzat kind of send them, this is going to be his kind of retirement party. I mean, how many more fights can Tony lose before he retires, right?
I mean, he's 38 years old.
Fucking book that fight. I am here for that fight.
Yeah. Look, I'll watch it. I'm just picturing Shang Tsung picking up that kid's head and going, "Your soul is mine."
Yeah,
That's all I'm picturing.
that would be a scene, wouldn't it?
It would be a scene. It's all I can see in my head right now. I think I might go watch that movie tonight. Can I tell you, it is so hot in this goddamn room that I'm in that I'm actually dripping sweat onto the pages.
That's just the dedication that we have to the show.
I'm doing a full weight cut in here right now.
Impressive.
I might make 170 by the end of the night if I get the jump rope out. I think I could do it. I think I could hit 170. I could hit 185 easy. get a jump rope out and maybe some trash bags. I'll get to 170. I'll make that happen.
Oh yeah.
Other news. John Jones. I don't think we've talked about this on the podcast yet. We've talked about it together.
Yeah.
I don't think we've talked about it on the podcast yet.
Ooh.
That man looks terrifying.
Yeah, he looks really good. It just looks crisp. He
Yeah.
looks crisp, and he just looks like he's filling into his frame at heavyweight.
Yeah.
He's not somebody who, rushed it. Obviously, he's been on the sideline for a while. Him and his team are taking it really seriously. They're doing the due diligence.
Oh,
He looks like he's filling into the frame.
They got a stew going, baby.
Yeah.
They got a stew going.
Yeah,
he looks terrifying.
If you look on John Jones's last reel posted on his IG is a video of him hitting the bag.
Ooh.
Or hitting no, he's hitting a bag with a bag holder, but woo, man, he looks good.
Oh,
smooth, fast.
God.
And he's carrying the weight pretty well from what what it looks like.
He's looking good enough that it's got me real worried about Stipe.
Yeah. The whole entire heavyweight division should really be put on notice right now because he's gonna fight.
It's gonna happen.
It has to.
It's gonna happen. And he took to, I think, either IG or Twitter recently and said to the people calling him out for taking too long, he was like, "It ain't my fucking fault. I'm ready to go. Tell him to book me a fucking fight." So he's ready. John Dwight Jones is ready.
December, perhaps? I don't know.
Listen, December, maybe. Is November too soon? MSG?
Probably just. I mean, with Adesanya and they have bad blood too. That'd be absurd.
I don't know.
That'd be absurd. UFC's in good hands the next 6 months.
UFC is in good hands for the next 6 months. We got a lot of action going on, which means this pod will remain interesting, which is always great because if we got to start talking about LFA on this podcast, things are going to get fucking dire real fast.
Rough. Down bad.
Down real bad. If I got to start doing a weekly Bellator recap, you're going to see a depressed man. These slick yellow shades are going to get traded in for full on blacked out sunglasses real quick. You fucking look at this hair. You don't want to see this hair without a hat on it. You don't want that.
Rightfully so. I mean, we saw what it did to Coker, so
yeah, you don't want to see me chain smoking on the podcast.
And you saw AJ McKee too. What the fuck?
Yeah, what the fuck indeed. Diamond Chandler. We didn't talk about that yet.
Poirier sleeps him.
Yeah, I think Poirier sleeps him, but it's happening for our fans at home.
Yeah, I mean, hats off to Michael Chandler. Definitely the craziest UFC debut run, whatever you want to say it, in terms of just making a splash and just avoiding absolutely nobody.
Yeah, has he fought the entire top 5 yet?
Honestly, this is after he fights Poirier, yes.
Yeah, I mean Oliveira,
Gaethje,
Ferguson, and who am I missing?
Hooker.
Yeah, I mean
and Poirier. There you go.
Yeah, he's ducking nobody. I give him that much. The man ain't ducking.
No. I mean, I like what he has to say. I like that the hunger's there, and I like all that. But don't sleep on Poirier.
Yeah, the diamond, bringing that hot sauce.
And we always talk about how MMA and UFC is just tailored to matchups. We've seen how Poirier deals with guys like Gaethje. We've seen how he deals with guys like Eddie Alvarez.
Yup.
A very similar style to Michael Chandler.
Oh, yeah.
Try and get into a war with you, and it's just a war of attrition. Who has more heart? Don't get me wrong. Michael Chandler has heart for days, but Poirier's not the guy to take into deep water. That's on the ground, maybe, but on the feet.
I don't even know that Chandler wants to bring it to the ground. I mean,
Chandler, no. Chandler doesn't. I don't think Chandler has what it takes to take it to the ground either.
I think he has what it takes to get it to the ground. I don't think he has what it takes to survive it once it's there. Right? Yeah, Michael Chandler is a legit Mizzou wrestler. Can't take that away from him. And his Mizzou credentials entitle him to an automatic fight with Jake Paul, of course. But I mean,
good.
You like that? That was funny, right?
That was funny.
Come on, that's it. That's meta. You got to really know what's going on to
No,
get
that
that
was good.
joke.
I appreciate that.
But I mean, Diamond is jiu-jitsu black belt. He's a tough customer on the ground. I don't know that he's, I wouldn't call him one of the best submission fighters in MMA, but he's good. He's got some ground credentials. He's got that black belt.
Get a nasty Darce on Khabib.
Yeah,
Pretty deep.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, I think that's a good night for the Diamond, but again, it's a good fight.
Yeah, I mean, Madison Square Garden. I mean, holy shit.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm going to tell the listeners. I'm going to tell the listeners right now. I need everybody to start sending fan mail to John Boy and tell him to start booking plane tickets because we're going.
Yeah, there's a very, very high possibility that happens.
It's happening. If I got to come down to Fort Lauderdale and use the lasso of truth, I'll do it. I won't like it, but I'll do it. I don't like it.
I've been dragged to worse things than that. So
you and me both, my man. Well, if you don't have any other news, I figure I'll throw out here for the true long-term patients of the 10-8 insane asylum. I'm talking about the real nuts. I'm talking about the ones bouncing off the walls. I'll give a little recommendation. I recommend everybody go and watch the Flow Grappling Who's Number One card from last night. I always try to do this. I always say if you like MMA, you might like the parts that make up MMA. Great jiu-jitsu card last night. Couple of big names, obviously Gordon Ryan being one of them. He's the man in Brazilian jiu-jitsu. He's the John Jones of Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Had a 45-minute match with Felipe Pena. Jacob Couch and Jay Rodriguez went out there and put on a crackerjack. Rafael Lovato Jr., who we know grappled with our big homie Mike Wilcox, had a tough night against Nicholas Maringali. Last night was just a who's who in the jiu-jitsu world. So if you like the grappling, if you root for MMA fights to go to the ground, if you want to see Darce chokes and anacondas and arm bars and umaplatas, then I got to tell you, Flow Grappling was the place to be for you last night. A lot of high level grappling and ton of drama too. If you like the human element of it, Gordon Ryan, Felipe Pena do not like each other, and they like each other even less after last night. And a good night for grappling. Long time, 8-time world champion Leandro Lo tragically killed in Brazil the night before the card. So a lot of people going out there and putting on their best stuff to honor Leandro Lo, who was just a monster on the mats in jiu-jitsu. Guy was just an absolute axe murderer on the mats. Tough ass dude, and a lot of people really honoring that name last night. So I'd recommend that one. I'd recommend it. John Boy, you got anything else for this week?
I think that wraps it up, baby.
Well, then, as always, call your mother. Tell her you love her. We out.
Peace.